Okay. June 2nd, 2 Samuel 19:1 through 20:13. So King David sent Zodak and Absar, the priest, saying, Speak to the elders of Judah, saying, Why are you the last to bring back the king back to his house? Since the words of all Israel have come to the king, to his very house. You are my brethren, you are my bone and my flesh. Why then are you the last to bring back the king? And say to Ashna, Are you not my bone and my flesh? God do so to me, and more also, if you are not the commander of the army before me continually in the place of Joab. So he swayed the hearts of all the men of Judah, just as the heart of one man, so that they sent this word to the king: Return, you and all your servants. Then the king returned and came to the Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal, to meet with the king and escort the king across the Jordan. And Shimei, son of Gera, the Benjamin, who was from Bethlehem, hurried and came down to the men of Judah to meet King David. There were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, and the 15 sons and his 20 servants with him, and they went over the Jordan before the king. Then the ferry boat went across to carry the king's household and to do what he thought good. Now Shimei, son of Gera, fell down before the king as he crossed the Jordan, and said to the king, Do not let my lord impute iniquity on me, and remember what wrong your servant did on the day that the Lord the king left Jerusalem, that the king should take it to heart. For I, your servant, I know that I have sinned. Therefore here I am, the first to come today of all the house of Joseph, to go down to meet my lord the king. Remember, this is a guy who was screaming at him and cursing at him and throwing rocks at him. But Ashvi, son of Zerah, answered and said, Shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed the Lord's anointed? And David said, What have I to do with you, you sons of Zerah, that you should be adversaries to me today? Shall any man be put to death today in Israel? For I do not, for do I not know that today I am king over Israel? Therefore the king said to Shimei, You shall not die. And the king swore to him. Now Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king, and had not cared for his feet, nor trimmed his mustache, nor washed his clothes, from the day the king departed until the day he returned in peace. So it was, when he had come to Jerusalem to meet the king, that the king said to him, Why did you not go with me, Mephibosheth? And he answered, O Lord, my lord, O king, my servant deceived me. For your servant said, I will saddle my donkey for myself, and I will ride it and go to the king, because your servant is lame. And he has slandered your servant to the Lord the king. But my lord the king is like an angel of God. Therefore, do whatever is good in your eyes. For all my father's house were dead men before my lord the king. Yet you set your servant among those to eat at your own table. Therefore, what right have I still to cry out any more to the king? So the king said to him, Why do you speak any more of these matters? I have said, You and Ziba divide the land. Then Mephibosheth said to the king, Rather let him take it all, insomuch as the Lord the king has come back in peace to his own house. And Brasilia and Gilead came down from Roglam and went across the Jordan with the king to escort him across the Jordan. Now Brasilia and was a very aged man, 80 years old, and had provided the king with supplies while he stayed in Maneth, and he was a very rich man. And the king said to Brasilia, Come across with me, and I will provide for you while you are with me in Jerusalem. But Brasilia said to the king, How long have I to live, that I should go up with the king to Jerusalem? I am today 80 years old. Can I discern between good and bad? Can your servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Can I hear any longer the voice of singing men and singing women? Why then should your servant be a further burden to the Lord the king? Your servant will go a little way across the Jordan with the king. And why should the king repay me with such a reward? Please let your servant turn back again, that I may die in my own city, near the grave of my father and my mother. But here is your servant Chiliam. Let him cross over with my lord the king, and do for him what seems good to you. And the king answered, Chiliam shall cross with me, and I will do for him what seems good to you, and will do to him what seems good to you. Now, whatever you request of me, I will do for you." Then all the people went over to the Jordan, and the king had crossed over, and the king kissed Priscilla and blessed him, and he returned to his own place. Now the king went on to Gilgal, and Chiliam went on with him. And all the people of Judah escorted the king, and also half of the people of Israel. Just then the men of Israel came to the king and said to the king, "Why have our brethren, the men of Judah, stolen you away and brought the king, his household, and all David's men with him across the Jordan?" So the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, "Because the king is a close relative of ours, why then are you angry over this matter? Have we ever eaten at the king's expense, or has he given us any gift?" And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah and said, "We have 10 shares in the king, therefore we have more right to David than you. Why then do you despise us? Were we not the first to advise to bringing back our king?" Yet the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. And that was the beginning of the Civil War. And it happened then, and then there it happened to be, then there happened to be a rebel whose name was Sheba, the son of Bersha, a Benjamite, and he blew the trumpet and said, "We have no share in David, nor have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tent, O Israel." So every man of Israel deserted David and followed Sheba, the son of Bersha, and the men of Judah from the Jordan as far as Jerusalem remained loyal to their king. Now David came to the house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 women, his concubines, who he had left to keep the house, and put them in seclusion and supported them, but did not go into them. So they were shut up to the day of their death, living in widowhood. And the king said to Amos, "Assemble the men of Judah for me within 3 days, and be present here yourself." So Amos went to assemble the men of Judah, but he delayed longer than the set time which David had appointed him. And David said to Ashboth, "Now Sheba the son of Bersha will do us more harm than Absalom. Take your Lord's servants and pursue him, lest he find for himself a fortified cities and escape us." So Joab's men with the Cheromites and the Feltites and all the mighty men went after him, and they went to Jerusalem. And they went out of Jerusalem to pursue Sheba the son of Bershai. And when they were at the large stone which is at Gibeon, Ashba came before them. Now Joab was dressed in battle armor, and on his belt was a sword fastened with its sheath at his hip. As he was going forward, it fell out. Then Joab said to Ashma, "Are you in health, my brother?" And Joab took Ashma by the beard with his right hand to kiss him. But Ashma did not notice the sword was in Joab's hand, and he struck him with it in the stomach, and his entrails poured out on the ground, and he did not strike him again. Thus he died. Then Joab and Esha, his brother, pursued Sheba, to the son of Bershai. Meanwhile, one of Joab's men stood near Ashma and said, "Whoever favors Joab and whoever is for David, follow Joab." But Ashma wallowed in his blood in the middle of the highway. And when the men saw that all the people stood still, he moved Ashma from the highway into the field and threw a garment over him. When he saw that everyone who came upon him had halted. When he was removed from the highway, all the people went after Joab to pursue Sheba, son of Bershai. John 21, 1 through 25. After these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias, and on his way he showed himself. Simon Peter, Thomas, called the twin, Nathanael of Cana of Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and the 2 others of his disciples were together. Simon Peter said to them, "I am going fishing." They said to him, "We are going with you also." They went out and immediately got into the boat, and at night they caught nothing. But when the morning had come, Jesus stood on the shore, yet the disciples had not known it was Jesus. Then Jesus said to them, "Children, have you any food?" And they answered him, "No." And he said to them, Cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you'll find some." And so they cast, and now they were not able to draw it out because of the multitude of fish. Therefore the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." Now when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment, for he had removed it, and plunged into the sea. Then the other disciples came in the little boat, for they were not far from the land, about 200 cubits, dragging the net with fish. Then as soon as they had come to the land, they saw a fire of coals there, and fish laid on it, and bread. And Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish which you have just caught." Simon Peter went up and dragged up the net to the land, full of large fish, 153. And although there were so many, the net was not broken. Jesus said to them, "Come, eat breakfast." Yet none of the disciples dared to ask him, "Who are you?" knowing that it was the Lord. Jesus then came and took the bread and gave it to them, and likewise the fish. This is now the third time Jesus showed himself to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. So when they had finished eating breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me more than these?" And he said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And he said, "Feed my lambs." And he said to him a second time, "Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And he said to them, "Tend to my sheep." Then he said to him a third time, "Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me?" Peter was grieved because he had said to him a third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Most assuredly, I say to you, when you are younger, you girded yourself and walked where you wish. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and another will gird you and carry you where you do not wish." This he spoke, signifying by what death he would glorify God. And when he had spoken this, he said to him, "Follow me." Then Peter turned around and saw the disciple whom Jesus loved following, who also had leaned on his breast at the supper, and said, "Lord, who is the one who is the one who betrays you?" Peter, seeing him, said to Jesus, "But Lord, what about this man?" Jesus said to him, "If I will that he remain till I come, what is that to you? You follow me." Then this saying went out among the brethren, that this disciple would not die. Yet Jesus did not say to him that he would not die, but, "If I will that he remain till I come, what is that to you?" This disciple who testifies of these things and wrote these things, and we know this testimony is true. And there are so many other things that Jesus did, which, if they were written one by one, I suppose that not even the world itself could not contain the books that would be written. Amen. Psalms 121 through 7. In my distress, I cried to the Lord, and he heard me. Deliver my soul, O Lord, from lying lips and from deceitful tongue. What shall be given to you, or what shall be done to you, you false tongue? Sharp arrows of the warrior with coals of the broom tree. Woe to me that I dwell in Mesech, that I dwell among the tents of Kedar. My soul has dwelt too long with the one who hates peace. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. Proverbs 16 through 17. How much better to get wisdom than gold, and to get understanding is to be chosen rather than silver. The highway of the upright is to depart from evil. He who keeps his way preserves his soul. All right.
See y'all tomorrow.